Hey everyone, welcome to Stoneridge Connect. I'm Matt Whitby with a short presentation on preparing your data for Copilot, where stronger data equals a stronger AI. Quick intro, we'll go over the agenda, introductions, define your goals, plan your timeline, strong data, and then a conclusion of where I'll wrap everything up. So we'll do planning your data for a timeline, strong data, where I'll define what we consider good data and best practices for data gathering, and finally a summarization of what we need to know for the next steps. Quick introduction on me. I'm Matt Whitby, functional consultant. I've got 10 years of working in support roles, designing and reporting on KPIs that have been essential for sales and customer service teams. I'm a huge data nerd. That's why I picked this topic about AI, because I really love a well-established data set and being able to report. Everybody who knows me knows I like when line goes up. So first step for getting that implementation is define your goals. If you're not using Copilot now to help guide your business decisions, you can be collecting data that's needed for a later time. So you have to think of it like a prompt. If you have a well-structured prompt, you'll have a well-structured answer. If you have a well-structured data set, you're going to get a well-structured prompt and answer. So you plan for the future by cleaning your data now, and then you can implement consistent data gathering practices and then ensure a reliable data set for your large language model to evaluate. First steps first, define your KPIs. What is the case resolution criteria? What's your average time to close? What's the average transaction time? What are you reporting on now, and how do those fields look at the data point of view? The agents that are evaluating that will need consistent results over a period of time to provide impactful results. Is the data consistent in your database? You may ask yourself. I'm going to say, looking at a lot of people's databases, it's not always consistent. So we're going to have to look at that at a different point in time. So clean that up. So next step is define your goal. What percentage of growth do you want? What do you consider improving as a company? What do you consider is improving closing a case faster? Is it getting a better customer satisfaction score? What does a timeline look like for you? Do you want more impactful interactions? And what do you measure impact as? So those points need to be set on at the beginning so that when you ask the question later, the large language model will be able to deliver the correct answer for you. All right. So the timeline for Copilot. So this is going to be a larger undertaking than you realize. As I know we want it now, everybody's using it, but if you invest the time now, it's going to pay off in the end. Most databases that are well established were not established well in respect to large language models. You'll need to be able to review years of user data, and sometimes users put in a little bit too much detail, or sometimes not so much. So plan the review stage to be longer than you realize. You'll have questions, you'll need answers, and answers take time. Document the steps when you do get those answers, where those steps are coming from. So clean data can be done properly through bulk updates, bulk processes, bulk deletions, which I try to steer away from, but you'll need to have some system admins who will take the proper steps to deprecate the data and not delete the data. So next step is structure. Plan for option sets as opposed to text fields, timestamps for business events, lookups whenever possible. Those are going to be the correct data sets to be gathering so that when you do ask questions later, we're going to be having consistent results. So then consistency. Train the users to input good data. Explain the purpose and the intent of good data. Require the fields that you want to report on. Establish the business process. So if you ask any process question to a user in the same role, you're going to get the same answers. We want salespeople to be inputting the same sales data every time. Harder to do than actually say, but I digress. Next step is collect the data. Only time will allow for data to be gathered. If you're implementing a large language model without a robust data set, it's not going to be able to provide impactful insights. So gather your data now and then move forward with implementing or collecting the data. So implementation. Now we're ready for Copilot to be implemented. And you start asking questions for Copilot to be pulling in data for your other users. What does strong data look like? Your prompt is only as good as your data. So when you're looking at data types, option sets are going to be over better than free text. There's in free text, I'm sure you've seen misspellings, ramblings, anything and all the above. Special characters are always a little odd behaviors. Because they don't translate very well. So I prefer to use option sets over free text. Business process flows are one of the most important pieces of data collection that I find is because it ensures the same fields are going to be filled out for every record. It allows timestamps for every time it moves through the business process flow, and when a record is created or a record is closed, you have every step in between there with a timestamp so that the large language model can see when you're moving through those and what the average times for moving from step 1 to step 2. Lookups over dropdowns. So I know that we said dropdowns as option sets over free text, but if it goes free text to option sets, then to lookups are going to have a more robust relationship, which I'll touch over in 1 or 2 seconds. And then activities are often used as a catch-all by users. If you're just adding in random notes or tidbits of information, a lot of times those tidbits of information are useful and do belong in certain fields, but sometimes users just can't find those fields. So let's evaluate how those users are using activities. Are they using them as notes? Are they strictly using them for emails? Are they using activities for activities? And if not, why? What fields can we create that will keep activities as activities? And then optional fields. I can't tell you how many times I've been into somebody's system and seen a whole form with optional fields that have never been filled in since implementation. So we build this area and we find a data field that we do think is important, but since it's optional, nobody ever fills it in. If you think it's important, let's make it mandatory. If you think it's going to be somewhat important, keep it optional, but let's limit the options. And if you don't think it's ever going to be used, let's just remove it off the field and so that we're never going to have that thing to worry about. Relationships. This is something I'd like to just briefly explain with my hands because I'm a very hand type talker. So, for example, so let's say on a sales order, you have a customer. That customer is logged in CRM as a contact, and that contact now is connected to a company. Sometimes you see users just putting in random text fields, and this is an extreme example. The first name, last name has been filled in a note category. I talked to Jerry on this day. The large language model isn't going to know that who Jerry is, what company Jerry works for, or any information that's pertinent to gathering a reportable data set. So what you can do is you connect that case to Jerry's contact record in CRM, which is then connected to the account. So now we know that from the data set viewpoint that the person's role at the company, where they have the annual revenue of the company, as opposed to just some dead end plain text value. So next thing I want to briefly talk on is the security for teams or individuals. The Copilot will respect the security for the teams or individuals that are asking the question. So when they ask a question about the data, they're going to only receive the answer back that's respectfully in their security criteria. So if you ask if they only have user level permissions, they're only going to get user level information back from that large language model. which can be a good thing or a bad thing. If they're looking for organizational information or organizational insight, you have to be aware that it could not give the correct answer. Okay, rambling. I know this is a quick one, so let's go. Concluding, so consistent data allows for better insights into your data. I know it's pretty obvious, but data quality matters the most. Whereas if you're putting bad data and you're gathering a whole bunch of it, it's worthless. So keep consistent, clean data that's well structured with, and it's going to have a greater impact on your organization than simply collecting large volumes of data. And then the one thing I didn't really touch too hard on, but I do want to enforce a little bit more is encourage positive user habits to ensure that Copilot has effectiveness and adoption in the long term run for your company. Because if people are asking Copilot questions now and they're not getting consistent good results, they're not going to use it in the future because it creates and establishes distrust within that community. And so we want a great data set to be providing great insights for, and then that'll have great adoption. Great. So if after this you feel your data is clean, consistent, and ready for AI to help you make the business decisions, congratulations. Let's get you going with the next steps. If you're wanting to review your data and create new data fields to collect consistent data for Copilot to get you going, let's get that conversation started. Either way, reach out to one of their Stone Ridge team members and we can connect you with the right person. I absolutely love helping you out. Please reach out to us and then have a great day. Enjoy the rest of Stone Ridge Connect.